Welcome to OM Report by Andre Alpa, your interview-focused podcast on topics from online marketing to internet startups.
So, we're here with Chris Boggs. Chris, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Chris Boggs. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer with the Internet Marketing Ninjas, and I'm also the Chairman of Sempo Global, and I sit on the advisory board for SES as well.
Okay, so what can you tell us a bit about Sempo? How many people are there in Sempo, and what does Sempo do for its members or for the industry?
Sure. Sempo is a global nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting awareness and education and networking and research within the search marketing field historically. We've struggled over the years with potentially rebranding because we realized the importance of social media as well within our industry, and we talked about maybe 2 S's, MPO, and so forth, but we're really, we're the Search and Social Marketing Professionals organization. We're made up of approximately 1,000 member units. Some of those member units can have more than one individual. We have individual level memberships as well as 2 levels of corporate memberships. The corporate memberships are either 5 seats or unlimited seats. So I think that of actual users of Sempo, we're floating somewhere around the 2,000 number. And I first gained insight into Sempo way back in 2004 at SES San Jose. And the organization has grown tremendously over the years.
So are you guys asked when there's like an antitrust,
Yes. In fact,
they approach you and ask, we talk about it, whether it is something or not? That would be like a typical thing an industry association would do, right?
Yes, more and more so. I mean, it's taken a little while for us to establish the credibility and the credence within both the actual news organizations, but also even for the search engines, right? So, for example, we work closely with Google's marketing team in situations like that to be able to provide a Sempo sort of perspective on things. Google looks to us as being a non-biased group. And so I would say over the last year, we've really grown into that area, though, when there was SOPA and PIPA, which was legislation here in the United States that was a little bit, frankly, stupid because the lawmakers didn't understand exactly what they were doing.
It's the same way in Germany, too.
We have
like something called Leistungsschutzrecht, which is crazy. And it's, again, from the publishing houses, from 1 or 2 that are close to politics, and again, it's a crazy thing that they're trying.
Yeah, sometimes the politicians they get explained something by one person that has one particular point of view on it, and that point of view may not be educated either, right? So it's a difficult thing, but it's definitely a role for Sempo in the future to be more vocal in issues that are government related or legally related, and certainly industry related.
And from the members, how many of them are like more in-house SEOs? How many of them from the agencies? How many of them are like rather small agencies, as in 1 or 2 persons? How many of them are like really big agencies? Do you have like an idea?
That's a great question, and I don't know what the percentage is, but I do know that there's a good mixture from all those segments that you just described. We have from the very biggest search agencies all the way down to the single search consultant. And we also have a number of people that are members from within a large organization or a small to mid-sized organization. We've found that sort of promoting a multi-level, and you have to be careful when you say the word multi-level, but sort of a multi-segment group, we can thereby have more of a non-biased or a broader opinion on the particular discussions that we're having.
And your opinion has more weight because you represent more people, right?
Yes. And if you're exclusive, then you're automatically there's an asterisk by what you say, right?
Yeah. So let's switch to your other thing. You're with Internet Marketing Ninjas, but just for a short time. You haven't been there long, right?
Yes, I just started February 2nd officially.
Will you rebrand because Ninjas sounds too childish?
It's a good question, and
just trying to promote.
No, that's fine. That's a good question.
You're the Chief Marketing Officer, right?
Yeah,
so
it's a good question, and in fact, it's something that I struggled with briefly. we're marketers, and I think that sometimes marketers are a little bit too afraid to sound childish or to try to go out and do some of the many things that they're advocating that their clients do, right? So if we can, as marketers, be comfortable in what we're doing, then I think there's an issue. Personally, the name Ninjas to me doesn't really suggest that it's childish as per se. I think that there's unfortunately, there's probably some people that think, oh, ninjas, who do these guys think they are, right? But the bottom line is that we're very talented search marketers.
No, that
right?
I don't doubt. I mean, I see the individuals behind it, so I don't doubt that there's like competence and knowledge.
But it's a great question, and I can tell you that the answer is no, not now. Okay. I mean, if this proves to be a problem down the road, then we'll consider it. But frankly, it's a good theme. It makes to me, it gives us a lot of opportunities to market.
Okay. So I think in Internet Marketing Ninjas, I'm not sure if like any of the decisions that I referred to have to do with you, but I know that they have bought some forums.
Yes.
And like
so we
relevant reach,
and I am actually
also
involved.
Free tools.
Yes, and I'm actually involved in that whole side of it. So there's the Internet Marketing Ninjas side, as it were, which is the consulting full service agency, and then it's what we call the Dev Shed side, because the Dev Shed, Developer Shed, is the biggest community that we acquired. Yeah. Exactly, and so underneath that Dev Shed side, and yes, you can see that we're on the actual conference thing. You have Webmaster World, which is a very established community, very strong individuals in there. Yeah, thank you. SEO Chat, Create a Site, ThreadWatch. These are also frequented communities, and we felt that. And obviously, I wasn't involved in the acquisition and everything, but I know that Jim felt that bringing these communities together would provide both us as well as our industry with a broader set of perspectives. Much like we just talked about with Sempo, the more different communities that you can get involved, and potentially either at least talking every once in a while, or acknowledge. The first step is just acknowledging the existence of the other one, right? I think that there's a lot of great planning. In terms of the tools, that's certainly part of this whole DevShed option. We do have plans to release some of our previously internal-only tools to the public. And there's
paid, not free.
There's going to be paid and free tools. So
because I was wondering, I would understand, for me, for now, you were mostly an agency, not a tool provider. So I thought, why get the reach? And the reach would, for me, only make sense if I'm a tool provider.
Yes.
Where I have something,
subscription,
some subscription-based business where it does make sense to have the reach, because an agency can't scale, not as fast as you can buy reach. So I figured, okay, something has to happen, because
I think you figured us out on that.
Not just everybody did. Everybody taken care.
Yeah.
Okay. So we expect some tools to come out of your.
Oh yes, soon.
And then it will all make it that will be kind of the missing part of the puzzle.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so I'm really curious what kind of tools. When can I get beta access?
We should probably be releasing some access to some industry insiders by next month, maybe May.
Okay. I'll be daily emails.
The plan is probably to look for something around June. We never want to set a hard date on this. Yeah, it's very difficult in our industry.
Longer, it costs more.
Yeah, as you know.
Tools. Yeah. Every tool is the same. So what do you think? You mean you and me, us as a agency perspective? Do you think we're kind of spoiled because we can always say, this should be done that way, that should be done this way, and then there's this poor in-house SEO guy who hires you, which I'm sure he pays for well, and then you say, this should be done and that should be done, and then he comes back home and has to talk to his product guys, to his marketing manager guys, to probably his C-level guys, and can't push through the things that he and you know are right, and you figure them out for him, and he loves them, but he can't push them through. So do you think it gives you as an agency a spoiled and unrealistic perspective sometimes, that you're not in the companies?
It's I love the way that you worded that question, because it's extremely, having implementation of recommendations is the constant thorn in the foot of an SEO, right? It's how much that you had recommended can you actually get implemented. And typically, it's funny because there's different things between large and small organizations, right? The large organizations have all this authority, and if they would only just make a couple little changes, they could go so well. But it's them, that's what's stopping them is their own internal processes from making these changes, and they're not getting as much value. And often they're engaging very expensive agencies that are then, put on the line to show value, and they're not able to, and I think that that's a very key thing, and it's all into how you start the relationship, right? And you have to establish at the onset certain rules of engagement and certain rules. For example, in my previous role, we worked in some verbiage into contracts that there was a requirement of turnaround of either approvals of content, for example, or maybe we're going after certain links or whatever, and they have to approve them. But we set a 48-hour turnaround time right on that. And if you put that omen on them, and then the account manager starts to call and say, look, we're supposed to have this 48 hours ago, then the account manager tells me or their other exec, and then I happen to have a conversation with the exec that's managing the team over there, and I can be like, hey, what's going on? Your team's supposed to be implementing this and nothing's happening. Oh, well, they haven't told me and blah, blah, and then suddenly it goes. Now, that's not scalable, right? So I think at the onset is the most important part, is to really establish that. And in fact, I've also seen contracts that have been verbed or worded in a way that there's a prerequisite before you move into the ongoing SEO, right? Okay. We often look at SEO as technical and content. Stuff. Right, so you have to implement X% of the recommendations for phase 1 before we even start on phase 2. I mean, it makes sense if you think about link acquisition, right? Sure. If you can't implement the content, what are we going to build the links to? So some of it that makes sense. But to consider that within the contract and the negotiation time, it's one of the easiest things to forget, right? But if people take the extra time to establish expectations for a turnaround, a reasonable turnaround time, maybe it's 2 weeks. If it's a huge healthcare or financial services, and that there's going to be legal and compliance issues that they have to do. But as long as it's written in the contract that has to be implemented for us to perform, then it puts it much easier if at the end of the quarter there's zero performance. The executives come together with the account teams and say, what's going on here? Well, it's pretty simple. We delivered this recommendation, and you implemented nothing. So, it becomes probably an awkward moment for the internal team when in a meeting like that. But I'd much rather, from the agency perspective, in that position, than to say, well, you really needed to implement your stuff, and then have them say, well, why didn't you tell us it was more important, and blah, blah, and blah, blah.
Do you think that the agency should go a step further and have their own tech guys being able to implement the stuff that they suggest?
That's something
that should be done?
It's a good question too. It depends really on the level of business there, right? And obviously there are some small and medium-sized businesses that are hyper protective of their code and their data, and that depends on the personalities involved too, right? If there's a very strong IT lead and you're working with the marketing side, and the IT lead says, no, go away, don't touch my baby, that can happen sometimes, and then you have to work through negotiating, diplomacy.
Does Internet Marketing Ninjas do something like that? Like send tech guys over to programming?
We have the capability of doing that. Okay. There's no current engagements that we have right now where we're doing that. We've done that in my past roles, where we have sort of people that go over there for a couple months in the prior to launching a new site, just to make sure that the SEO pre-launch, search engine friendly stuff is involved. Okay. And that's something that could certainly work. I mean, it just requires obviously the ability on the agency side to deliver someone that's full-time, and also on their side to trust the agency that, whoever they're delivering is going to be valuable and not going to try to steal information or something like that.
So what do you say, like a more general question, how does the search marketing in the US evolves these days? I mean, where's it going to? Is there any drastic changes, or are we just like living from update to update and just adapting as we ever did? Or is there like something bigger happening now?
I think that there's finally becoming a much more of a combination of search marketing and user experience and other digital marketing. It's something that we've been evangelizing for some years. Look, we can't live in a silo, we can't live in a silo, we can't live in a silo. silo. I think that people are starting to come out of the silo and start to look at the other marketing functions and see how they work together.
Yeah, this thing with don't want to be a silo is more a thing of SEO. Like the PPC guys, they're super happy being a silo usually, right? They do their own landing page optimization. They have their traffic. They know where they buy it. That's it.
But they shouldn't.
No. I agree on that.
Yeah.
But that cry. Please have an integrative. View on digital marketing. That's like typically from the SEO side,
yes.
because we need everybody to dance along to what we want. Anyway.
And frankly, I would say that we also can offer value to each of those areas. The paid search, we can offer value. Understanding quality score. There's a lot to do with understanding how Google rates organic results too, right? If you look at the way that SEO, the signals that people can give off through the search terms that they're using and coming in on, and through their pattern of behavior through the actual web property, where they're coming in, where they're more likely to convert. These are all things that can be very useful. I mean, even at the keyword level, right? What's a more expensive keyword on paid search? Can we maybe look for ways to cut budget on that keyword because we have good SEO performance? I mean, these are all things that have to be done. They've been talked about for years. I can tell you that, at Rosetta, we were actually engaging in these things. And I know that there's other agencies that are really getting to that point as well. But for years, people were just talking about it and even coming to conferences and saying they did it. But then back at the office, there was no communication between even just SEO and paid. But now you have to have the SEO and usability discussions, the SEO and accessibility. Social, exactly, and other marketing functions, public relations, Marcom.
If you have a great story, it's great content to push. The PR department can do that and this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I'm biased, but I do think that SEO is in a unique position that it can affect. You're right. I mean, it's one thing being in paid search and thinking that you may be able to affect everything else. Maybe that's varied levels of truth. But with SEO, it's pretty proven that you can provide a positive effect on user experience, as long as you're considering what the user experience positives are as well. Accessibility is a big one too. I mean, is your content legible to a screen reader? This is a huge thing where you can get double value by simply being accessible. You're also getting SEO value.
So how does a search marketer's life in the US look like? I mean, besides the two big chains of conferences, what do people do to network and to learn?
The communities, I think, is probably the biggest one. I think
where are they taking place? The communities?
I mean, just like search engine, watch the forums there, kind of as much as I hate to say it, going downhill a little bit. Webmaster World, you have these pocket communities.
There's one in person.
There's meetups.
Okay.
The meetup.
Yeah.
There's one I know that Simon Heseltine goes to in Northern Virginia. There's a meetup, or the way that it's run here in New York is through the meetup. And actually, there's two different groups here in New York. There's the Sempo group, as well as Internet Marketers in New York, which I was happy to be part of the founding group there as well years ago. But there's, I mean, you're exactly right.
Pure networking events? Or is there like a session up front, or like
it depends. It's mostly pure networking.
Okay. So just meet up for drinks and then see what happens from there. All right. Great. Thanks a lot for the interview.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. It was a good time.
OMReport and Andre Alpa would like to thank you for your attention. You can get more episodes on www.OMReport.com.